it is incumbent upon us to organize ourselves, in my view, both in the public and private sector, to prevent these kinds of things from happening. And in my work in the cybersecurity world, I know that there is technology out there that properly harnessed and brought together in a way that fuses the interagency together, so that you don't have the Defense Department working on one thing and the State Department working on another, and other agencies kind of doing their own thing. We have got to stop the penetration and the pilfering of our technologies. We've got to make companies like Lockheed Martin and Northrop Grumman and our big defense companies more secure. And those technologies, I believe, are out there. I know they're out there, but we have not, in any administration, this administration or the last administration, come together to form a central Manhattan-like project, if you will, that brings the best of the private sector and the public sector together to protect ourselves.
And we have to engage with women's civil society. Like I said about the early warning, women are not being included. For example, the delivery of humanitarian aid. Are we including women's voices from the ground? And I don't just mean the elite groups in maybe Kabul, but more diverse women who don't always have access but have things to tell us. The delivery of aid, which we've seen time and time again, we saw it in Haiti, we saw it in Somalia, where it's not taken into account a gender perspective, and therefore it's not being delivered to those who really need it. And so we need to have good advice in terms of both gender and women's voices in delivery of aid and the humanitarian support. But also as we move forward, we need to engage with civil society. Women are saying they talk about us, but they don't talk to us. And this is happening a lot. And this hasn't changed. It's a continuum. So we need to change that. But we also need to do more about looking about Sharia and engaging women in the conversations on Sharia law. You know, Islam has provisions for women's rights. And the Prophet Muhammad, talked about having access to knowledge from the cradle to the grave. So it isn't that education for women is not and should not be there. It absolutely is within the Islamic scholarship. It is within the understanding of Islam.
We have to understand sometimes there is this disconnect between politics and good policy. And before I give this example, I don't want to stand here and say that I had not gone down this road either. I think that if you looked at my 8 years in Congress, I probably have a time or two. But military dollars and military spending cannot be first and foremost considered a jobs program. As important as it is that the military is a huge employer in different people's districts, that's incredibly important and it's a great benefit to the community. But it's not mostly meant to be a jobs program. It's meant to be a national security program. And sometimes we've lost sight of that in Congress.
There's an interesting issue with geothermal residential in that, unlike solar, where you want to produce as much as you can, and you want homeowners to produce as much as they can and get credit for how much solar their system is producing. So you can think about how you could have them get renewable, RECs, basically renewable energy credits, right, for their production. For a geothermal system, you don't want to incentivize an owner of a system to run it any more than they really need to, right? And so you don't want to create a perverse incentive where you're going to sort of measure or monitor how much a geothermal system is running and then give credit based on that. Because ideally we want to be motivating all of us to insulate our homes as much as possible and use all energy sort of as little as possible, including heating and cooling, just what we need.